In a fiery speech from Caracas, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has accused the United States of inventing what he calls a new eternal war, a phrase that echoes through the region with deep historical resonance. As tensions heat up in the Caribbean, this latest confrontation marks a fresh chapter in the long and uneasy relationship between Washington and Caracas. According to Maduro, the U.S. is once again preparing to meddle in Latin American affairs under the guise of countering drug trafficking. He insists Venezuela has no involvement in coca leaf production and that recent American claims of narco-trafficking are nothing more than a pretext for aggression. His words come at a time when U.S. naval operations in the Caribbean have intensified, with Washington targeting what it calls drug-running vessels allegedly linked to Venezuela. But in the eyes of the Venezuelan government, these actions represent something far more sinister, a buildup designed to justify a future intervention or even regime change. Maduro, speaking defiantly before supporters, declared that the United States had promised never to enter another war, yet is now, in his words, inventing a new eternal war. He vowed to mobilize the peoples of South America to resist what he describes as imperial aggression. In a show of military readiness, he announced that Venezuela has deployed 5,000 Russian-made Igla-S anti-aircraft missiles to reinforce its air defense systems. This move, while framed as a defensive measure, sends a clear signal to Washington that Caracas is ready to protect its skies and its sovereignty. The United States, for its part, has long accused Maduro's government of corruption, human rights violations, and ties to international drug networks. U.S. officials claim their Caribbean operations are aimed at dismantling trafficking routes and protecting regional stability. But critics argue that these actions follow a familiar pattern, one that mirrors decades of U.S. involvement in Latin America, from the Bay of Pigs to the invasion of Panama. The accusations and denials now unfolding seem to fit into a much larger geopolitical puzzle where influence, energy interests, and ideological divides all intertwine. The tension between the U.S. and Venezuela is not just about drugs or weapons, but about power and perception. For Washington, Venezuela's growing alliance with Russia and China represents a threat to Western influence in the region. For Caracas, the American presence in nearby waters feels like an existential threat, a reminder of how fragile sovereignty can be when global powers circle so close to home.